I just found out I ruined my sister's life by being the cause of her breakup with her long-term partner. I feel like such a chain and a burden on her life. I've honestly never felt more like I just want to disappear. How can I talk her into focusing on her own life first? I'm a disabled 21-year-old male. I live with my older sister who's 27. I've been a paraplegic since I was a kid as a result of an accident. Our remaining parent, our dad, is pretty old and sick. He's in an old folks' home. My sister takes me to see him occasionally. My sister is pretty much my full-time carer. She has her own job, which she works to support both of us, and when she's not on her job, she's usually taking care of me. She's had a very serious boyfriend for 9 years. They've been in a relationship since she was 18. It's always been a very serious relationship, as far as I can tell. He's a really good guy, and he's always been nice to me. He also hasn't shied away from offering financial help once in a while. I know my sister has always dreamt of marriage. We have talked about it so much ever since we were kids. We'd have play weddings. She would always imagine the day she would get married, spend hours looking at bridal dresses. Even as an adult, he would fantasize about getting married and spend a lot of the time looking at bridal dresses, talking about her dream wedding, what kind of house she'd like to have. She had names picked out for the kids since she was a kid herself, and she's always stuck with those names. So yeah, she's always dreamed of getting married and having a family for a long time. Her current boyfriend has been with her for so long and has been so good to her, I figured he would always be the one to marry her. And I'd be happy for her. Finally, she'd have someone to take care of her instead of her having to take care of me all the time. Well, that all came crumbling down. She returned home one day a complete mess, crying and pouring her eyes out all over the place. She told me they'd broken up, it was over. She was so sad. Oh, so sad. It was heartbreaking to see. It was like a dagger in my heart to see her crying and upset like that. And I felt so useless because all I could offer were meaningless words. She wouldn't tell me why. I figured she just didn't want to talk about it. After a few days, she still didn't want to talk about it. She was still incredibly upset, crying a lot. I told her I'm her brother. I may be physically disabled, but my heart and mind still work perfectly. She can talk to me about anything. Very reluctantly and with pushing, she opened up about it. She told me her boyfriend had proposed to her. I told her that's excellent. Why did they break up? She had always wanted to get married and had been waiting years for this. She told me they had talked about it, and her boyfriend wanted her to move in with him. They would find a separate carer for me to look after. They would still see me occasionally, but I would not visit them, and my sister would no longer be my carer at all. My sister told me she couldn't accept that, and that was the offer on the table as her boyfriend wanted it. She said she couldn't accept it. They couldn't reconcile their different wants, and they broke up. I told her she's crazy. She should have chosen her boyfriend. I know she loved him so much, and he was crazy about her. She should have gone and gotten married. She can stay tied to me forever. She should live her own life and have her own family. She was still crying heavily, and she told me she realized that she would never be able to have that. All that stuff she wanted as a kid, to be a bride, have a wedding, have a family, none of it would ever happen. She would be taking care of me forever. I insisted to her, telling her she didn't need to take care of me forever. She should live her own life. She said no. That's what she wants. That's the way it has to be. She would have it no other way. When I kept insisting, she said no. That's it. She's in charge. She makes her own life decisions, and I should stop telling her how to live her life. She got angry at me, and I quickly apologized. She said it's okay, but I could tell she was really upset and in a bad mood. Why is she doing this to herself? I don't understand. Doesn't she see that I don't want her to sacrifice herself like this? Why did she just give up her boyfriend of 9 years like that? She loved him so much and he loved her, so why did she just push him away like that? Why is she hurting herself like that? I don't want her to be hurting herself just for my sake. I never asked her to make this sacrifice of herself. I told her I wouldn't mind getting another carer for me. She said no. It's her. It has to be her. It's her job. It's her duty to me and to our family. She has to take care of me always. She wouldn't have it any other way, no matter how much I tried to reason. I hate myself so much right now. I've never hated being disabled more than right now in my life. I feel like a baby or something, like a useless animal. I feel like a ball and chain, like a burden tying her down to the ground and preventing her from living her own life. All I want her to do is to be happy and live her life and be happy and beautiful on her wedding day like she's always wanted, not stuck forever taking care of her disabled brother. I wish I could just die to free her of her burden. I'd be lying if I said I didn't seriously consider just killing myself so she could finally be free and pursue her own life. I'm not just saying that. I'm serious. I know she'd mourn me for a while, even a few years. But after that, she'd move on and get married and live her life like she's always wanted. It might be the only way she ever knows true happiness. I tried to convince her, but she seems determined to bog herself down like this. I don't understand. She's not being reasonable. She's not looking out for what's best for herself. Why is she doing this? How can I get her to focus on herself and her own life? Please, guys, help me out. How can I talk some sense into her? How can I convince her to put her needs ahead of my own and to focus on her life, mainly so she can live the life she's always wanted instead of being chained down to me? How can I convince her of this? Please help. I feel so desperate and sad for her. Now for some comments. We got caught. Can you contact a social worker to work as a mediator between the two of you? So that you can get the care you need, but still maintain a relationship with her in which she is just your sister, not your carer? Oh, absolutely. There are many options. I discussed it with her and told her I could easily find programs that would provide a carer, albeit with added expenses, so my sister no longer has to be my carer, and she can go and live her own life. She wasn't interested. She is absolutely stubborn and determined. She seems to have it stuck in her head that she has to be my carer permanently. I don't know why. Update. Okay, so this is an update to the post I made 2 nights ago. I just want to first of all say thank you so much to all those of you who posted extremely kind and heartwarming comments. That was amazing of you. Thank you so much. I'm also feeling much better now. I understand things much clearer and talked it over with my sister. It seems I was confused, and in the heat of the moment, there was a lot of misunderstanding. I have talked it all over with my sister, and we are both feeling much better and brighter now. And we agree things may have turned out for the best. I now realize, after my sister explained it to me, that he was not right for her, even though they had been together so long. I guess the length of their relationship had left me with a false impression. Firstly, as my sister explained it, it seems he didn't say I couldn't visit at all, as I had thought she meant, but that I just couldn't visit whenever I wanted to. They'd set times and schedules for when I could visit to ensure I wasn't over all the time, interrupting and interfering with their lives. However, it seems my sister didn't like this at all. She said she realized her boyfriend had a problem with me and wanted to place some distance between her and me, and she wasn't okay with that at all. I told her I thought she loved him. She said she thought she did too, but she knows her priorities in life, and she is old enough and mature enough to be able to decide what she wants from life and what her priorities are. I told her I thought she'd always wanted to get married and have children and a family ever since she was young. She explained to me, she still does to a certain extent, but only if the conditions are right. She said that she was a different person when she was younger. Now that she's older, her ideals and priorities had changed. She said that if she does get married, it's basically like what one commenter described as a package deal. I'd have to be included in the family too, and I'd have to live with them and be part of their family full time. She said if any potential husband couldn't accept that, then he could get stuffed and she didn't want him. That's basically what she thinks of her now ex-boyfriend, and she said she feels much more positive about her future now that he's gone. She said while she was with him, she was always feeling unsure about what the future held in relation to her and me, but now that she's made her firm decision, she knows she'll never let go of me. I asked her, what if this means that she'll never get married? What if it means that she never ends up finding a guy who's okay with all this and is willing to settle down with her with me in the fray? She said if that's the case, then so be it. As she explained it, she basically said I'm her family now. I exist, and I'm the most important thing to her. She won't sacrifice me for a hypothetical husband and hypothetical children who don't yet exist but may one day. She said priority number one for her will always be me and taking care of me throughout my life and disability. She couldn't imagine living her life without it. I told her, but didn't she feel she was severely limiting herself by chaining herself to me? Didn't she feel she was severely restricting her opportunities in life and what she could become? She explained that her years with me and taking care of me had helped form part of her identity. Taking care of me now is part of her identity and character. It's one of the things she lives for. I found that amazing, but she said she could have it no other way. I provide to her just as much as she provides to me, she said, and perhaps even more. I told her she was exaggerating, but she insisted it was absolutely true. She explained how the mere fact of her looking after me and her taking care of me, day in, day out, brings so much joy and happiness to her life. She doesn't know how she could ever live without it. And to her, it's so much more important than the possibility of having a husband or children. I found it difficult to wrap my head around that. I joked that I really can't imagine that it's always that fun, especially when she's, say, wiping crap from my butt or something. She just laughed and explained how sometimes something that can superficially seem gross, disgusting, or painful can still be beautiful and cherished when he looks at the love involved. She used the example of a mother giving birth. After 9 months of sickness and a swollen body, she has her body ripped open. There's blood everywhere, screaming and crying, and it's the most intense physical pain of her life. But at the end of it all, it's still beautiful, because it's an act of love and she endures all that pain to bring to life someone whom she will love forever. So yes, even acts like wiping crap from my ass, as gross and disgusting as it may seem to some, is in of itself an act of love and an example of how much she, as a sister, cherishes me as her brother, and the lengths she will go to as a result of that relationship. And that, I think, is beautiful in true love. So now I have a completely new outlook on her and our life. It's much more positive, and I no longer see myself as a burden or a chain. She helped me realize my own self-worth and value. I'm not just some disabled guy in a wheelchair that needs help. I'm a brother, and I provide love, friendship, and value to this amazing, beautiful, kind-hearted woman I am so proud to call my sister. I no longer have any thoughts about ending my life at all because I realize how much I am worth to her and how much I mean to her and how much it would hurt her if I do that. And I could never bear to do that. So I just thought I'd share that update with you all. After all those incredibly warm and supportive comments you gave me were so uplifting. I can honestly say, even though I may be physically disabled, I consider myself to have this amazing gift because I'm blessed with love, and this love is the most amazing thing in the world. I can't imagine living without it. Thank you all so very, very much. My husband is cheating on me with our best friend. I recently found out that my husband, 42, is cheating on me with our married best friend, 32 female. She is the godmother to our 4 children. They don't know that I know, but I caught them making out at the end of our driveway when he was seeing her off after dinner with our family. We live on a small acreage and the driveway is a long way off from the main house. She had forgotten some crockery at the house and I decided to walk it over, because for some reason the two of them always took a while to say goodbye. Now I know why. That's when I saw them lit by her car's headlights, making out in the front seat with our best friend straddling my husband. In shock, I didn't know whether to throw her Pyrex at the car or just walk away. I decided the latter and was too shocked to cry or be angry. When my husband got back, I had to pretend like everything was normal. I know that it's stupid, but I couldn't sleep that night and decided to go through his phone. She was obviously under a pseudonym, but I found a handful of their messages dating 2 or 3 years. Her husband doesn't know. He's currently posted overseas as a diplomat. I'm sick with rage and betrayal. I'm lost and have no idea what steps to take next. Now for some comments. Commenter 1. Collect proof before you blow your lid. It'll give you options. OP. I want to know too if her husband has any suspicions without telling him. There are a lot of messages exchanged between them. Pictures have been deleted, but I'm assuming they were nudes. My husband tried to bury their conversation in archives, but I found it and there's enough there for me to be able to screenshot when I have another chance. He's conveniently got a work trip on Friday. I'll ask my now ex-best friend if she's available. If she's not, I think I might know why, but need hard proof. Commenter 2. I'm so sorry, OP. And that's a double betrayal. If divorce is an option for you, then collect the proof and get a lawyer. If not, still collect the proof and confront them when you feel ready. Virtual hug. Update. Whoa, didn't expect this much support. It's really overwhelming. Just to clarify a few things. This is a private account I created just for this post away from my usual account because I was scared it would be traced back to me. I want to remain anonymous as much as I can. I don't live in the US, but in Australia. Technically, I can't file for divorce immediately, as you need to be separated for 1 year and 1 day to file officially. My now ex-best friend just recently returned to the country. Her father has cancer, after being posted with her husband overseas. The dinner was to welcome her home. And what a welcome. And there's some comments here about the headlights illuminating them. Sorry, I meant overhead lights. As to what I'm going to do now, a part of me just wants to confront my husband, see what lame excuse he has. But I need to get away from him. This level of betrayal physically hurts. I can't help but think of all the times we spent together over the years and for how long our families were fooled. My mind is going crazy. When she was single and he would rescue her from some bad date, or the times they were alone in my house when the kids and I were out. How irrationally angry he was when he found out she had a boyfriend then chose to marry him. Thinking back on it, the two of them disappeared at her wedding. When I asked him where he was, he said he needed to reassure her that she had done the right thing. I feel so sick thinking of these things. Update. Thank you everyone for your concern and advice. As of tomorrow, my husband is out of town. I've tried really hard to act normal around my now ex-best friend, but it's proving difficult and I feel sick. I have been telling both of them that I've caught some terrible bug and just not feeling myself. While my husband is out of town for the next few days, my sister-in-law, who is the only other person who knows, my brother's wife, will help me pack important documents and store them somewhere my husband doesn't know about. I've organized for my kids to stay with them for a week while I sort my crap out. I've spoken to a family lawyer, and they have told me that the best way to start the separation procedure is to no longer be living under the same roof. I'm fortunate in that most of our assets are also in my name, and the land our house is on was gifted to us by my parents. I'm planning to kick him out after his trip, but before that, I want to catch them both in the act again. Have some hard proof, send it to the ex-friend's husband, and get the ball rolling for moving on with my life. I'll update with what happens after the confrontation. Final update. My husband came home 2 nights ago from his trip. While he was gone, I had organized a lot of the important documents, etc. Financial, birth certificates, passports, anything that he could potentially use to try and get more than what he deserves. They are now safely stored, and my kids have been staying with their aunt and uncle for the past few days. I had packed all my husband's things, and he has been really good at keeping his tracks clean because there was no evidence of his affair within his stuff. I placed all his belongings in the garage ready for the confrontation with him. I was super nervous because I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision. Once he came home and I remembered seeing him kissing our best friend, I remembered the deep hurt they had caused. I was in our kitchen when he came home, and he knew straight away something was wrong. During that week, I had been distant and had barely answered his texts and screened his calls. I did answer every now and again and gave the kids a chance to speak to their dad. He asked me why I hadn't been responding to his texts, and he tried to kiss me, but I turned away, and before I knew it, the first things that came out of my mouth were, "I want a separation." I have to admit that he didn't look very surprised when I said it. He nodded his head and said, "What do you know?" Which was just a punch in the gut, because I wanted him to deny it or say something like it was a one-off thing. I asked him to tell me everything, like when did it start? And he said they started about 10 years ago. At first, it was flirtatious messaging and a sneaky kiss in the office when they briefly worked together, and the affair was on and off. She apparently always felt guilty, and her way out of that was to marry the next man that was interested in her and proposed. He admitted that they had sex on her wedding day, and when he is out of town, they meet. At this point, I couldn't breathe, and I was sobbing. I hated that the next words out of my mouth was, "Did you even ever love me?" He hesitated and said yes, of course. but he was never in love with me the way he was with her. I cleared my throat and had said to him that he should tell her husband. There is no point hiding it anymore. I told him that all his stuff was in the garage and he can find somewhere else to stay. I let him know that I have spoken to a family lawyer, and I told him that when I feel ready, and only when I feel ready, will we see each other again and talk about the future arrangement with the kids. I said any further communication can be done through my sister-in-law or my brother. I said, he is allowed to see the kids, but only at their place. I am, of course, wanting full custody of the children because it hurts too much to give him anything at this point. And he agreed to all my points because he knew he was in the wrong. He tried to say sorry, and then I absolutely lost my crap and screamed, "No freaking. No way are you sorry. For 10 freaking years, you have both deceived everyone we know. Please take your crap and leave and tell that woman you have been screwing for 10 years that I do not ever want to see her freaking face again." Certainly not my shining moment, but also a culmination of all the hurt and anger over the last few weeks that they have caused. I have no intention of talking to my ex-best friend, or really to my soon-to-be ex-husband until I have had the time to grieve. So thank you, community, for the encouragement and advice. Hope I can heal and move on from this. 1-year update. Thank you everyone who has been messaging over the last year to see how I'm going and asking for an update. Scroll below for the full story. It's been a crazy, painful year, but our divorce has been finalized, and I'm free. My ex-husband and my ex-best friend, as no surprise, are now in an actual relationship after the ex-best friend's husband found out about the affair. He divorced her, and since then we have met up for coffee to check in on each other and our mental health. He's been great sending encouraging messages, and he lives overseas, and from his Facebook updates has started dating again. So I'm very happy for him. The legal and custody battles had been fairly stressful, but the ex-husband agreed to all my terms. The custody of the children was the only thing he really fought for. I have custody of the kids, and he sees them on the weekends. The kids, including myself, have all been going to therapy separately. My ex-husband wants to see them more, and during school break, the kids have the choice to stay with him or me. They have been good about it and stay with him for a week or so, and then back to their mummy. Apart from necessary conversation, I steer away from my ex-husband and the ex-best friend. It still hurts so much, and I understand that it will take some time to heal. But I am letting go because I don't want them to have that level of influence over my life. I decided to sell the property we were living in and move closer to family and friends, because as you know, it takes a village. And I have been extremely grateful for the support I have received over the last year. I'm tearing up just as I'm writing this, knowing that I couldn't go through all of this without my loved ones. And for myself, I am happy overall. Still a work in progress, but grateful for life. The kids and myself have been enjoying life, and when we have the time and the money, try and take little trips here and there so the traumatic events of the divorce don't linger and can be replaced by good memories. Memories where they spent road trips and adventures with their mum. Now for some comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad that you are now moving on. Did she ever try to reach out to you after? That man is a dog. I hope they never last. Commenter 2. Wow, it's like, why didn't he just cut things off early and settle down with her? Like, why rob you of a partner that could love you the way you deserve? I'm so sorry this happened to you, but I'm happy to read that you're doing better. Hopefully things will get easier with time. I can't imagine co-parenting with someone like that long-term, or truly a gem, and I'm giving you such a giant internet hug right now.